gas so expensive that the cops can't afford to get to you. And this is happening in America. I dread to think how it's going to be like in Europe in the future, but you know what I suggest? I have a solution. The cops should get an electric car. Now you may be wondering, what the hell is this? It's like, it's an electric car. Why is it funny? Why are you laughing? This is literally what electric cars are about. It's just that you don't get to see this part. You know, this part is invisible. It's just that the car takes power from the electric grid, which often enough is a coal power plant. Right? So this is progressive, okay? This is where the people at Twitter go soy face, they pog, they go, oh. But when you see something like this, oh, well, what is that? That should be the new Tesla model. Now, I already made a video where I explain why gas is expensive. Basically, refineries can't keep up with the demand. There's so much demand that they literally can't pump more. So there's not enough of it. It's a shortage. This is why the prices are going up. And it's having interesting effects. Like, for example, the Ohio police chief said that his department is being forced to cut back on patrols as gas price surge above $5 a gallon. I wonder, why does he have the balls to publicly announce this? There might be a couple of entrepreneur criminals in Ohio that would be like, oh, well, the police doesn't have money to pay for gas. Now is the time. The moment is upon us. The prophecy that the Democrats have foretold. The more I learn about politics, the more I realize just how secluded the politicians are from the consequences of their actions. Because when I was a kid, I was thinking, wow, being a politician is probably pretty difficult. You may make bad decisions and then the people are going to get upset and they're going to get you. That's clearly not the case. So, for example, environmental policies, which cause gas to go up, which cause the cops not to be able to respond, which cause the crime to go up, people aren't going to blame the politicians. They're going to blame the evil police officers. But I guess this is a good thing, right? You did want to defund the cops, didn't you, America? And that was a slogan that apparently they stopped using when they realized that the Democrats are going bad in polls. And I was like, okay, let's stop using this chant, defund the police. By the way, another interesting thing about defund the police. I lived in the ghetto. I did hear people say a lot of disparaging things towards the cops. Some of the things I can't repeat here because it would violate TOS, but they would not say the police. They would usually say the pigs, you know, like fuck the pigs or something like that. Never the word defund, like that. That is a word that comes from the academia, isn't it? That's an HR word. Not a grassroots type of thing. It's not coming from the ghettos, the chant to defund. In fact, the ghettos, I bet they want to fund the police now because the gas is unaffordable. Heaven forbid the military needs the gas. Do you know how much gas is required to be pumped into a tank? Again, the main problem, the bottleneck, is that there aren't enough refineries to process the gas. So apparently the police chief, Mark Ross, told Fox and Friends that he's instructed his department to conserve gas by conducting stationary patrols in neighborhoods instead of driving around looking for potential crimes. Ross, his officers will now have to park their cruisers in one spot and shut off the engines. So, again, they don't really want to say why patrolling is important, because I went to law school and we actually did study the effect on patrol. The concept is that the criminal is an individual like you and I who doesn't want to be caught. And if he knows that the cops are patrolling the area, then he's less likely to commit crime. Also, the patrols are made into such a way so that when there is an emergency, the response time is lowered. But if you're going to tell people to just stay in a stationary area, it's going to be more difficult for them to arrive at the crime scene. We're not as visible as we normally want to be. So again, this is the psychological effect, right? Like if you're a person that wants to pickpocket, let's say, and a police car just happens to walk past you, you're less likely to pickpocket. I mean, it's also to do with traffic violations. Like, how many times did you guys not want to cross on a red light? You know, you look to the left, you look to the right, there's no cars, street is empty, but there's a red light. So you want to cross, but then you see a cop like way down there. And you're like, oh, maybe I shouldn't cross. Because you don't want to get fined. So you decide not to cross. Even though you wanted to, now you're like, oh, you're following the rules. And then later on, you may also choose not to do it because, well, what if there's another police officer that I haven't seen? The criminal thing's the same. The same concept. We'd like to move around through our village and let people see us, the police chief says. But they have to cut back on patrols because the gas is quite high and they're waiting for the prices to drop. We're going to be over our budget if it continues. Economically, we're getting strapped here. Well, again, they managed to defund the police. He added that some of the budget for his equipment was being put towards gas. And the move comes as the national average price of regular gasoline crossed the $5 threshold for the first time ever this week. Gas costs $3.08 per gallon on average. Gasoline prices have been surging since April when the initial shock of the pandemic... I really hate this... Oh my God, like the shock of the pandemic, okay? The COVID virus didn't infect and kill the people at the refineries. It wasn't that the people at the refineries were so sick they had to call off from work. The politicians did this. The politicians are the ones that told people to stay home and stay safe. If only we can save one life. Well, I hope that life was saved. Because now it's going to be really hard for the rest of us. Probably for the next 10 years or so. Because this is not going to fix itself overnight. Right now, there doesn't even seem to be a will to fix it. Right now, it's the blame game. Oh, it's the evil oil corporations. Oh, they're profiteering. Oh, they're trying to make $1. Meanwhile, the government isn't even considering lowering the gas tax. Yes, there is a tax on gas, in case you didn't know. They're not going to lower that. No, it's the evil profiteering corporations. By the way, even if they did lower the tax, the price would still go up. Because the problem is there's not enough. Okay, the only way to fix it is to build more refineries. Oh, you can't. Why? Because environmental regulations. So that's why. Anyway, things are going to get worse. I'm really curious how people are going to vote in the midterms. But I do remember an article that I read last week, I believe. They did another March for Our Lives in the United States. And they were shocked because not nearly enough people turned out. Like, they expected more people. And well, you have police officers that are telling you they can't respond to emergency. You have a high crime wave. And how are you expecting people to defend themselves? I mean, if there's a crime happening, the cops can't get to you. You're not allowed to have a weapon. Like, what do you do? Oh, maybe that's why gun control is not as appealing as it used to. I think the conversation is over regarding gun regulation in the United States for at least a generation. But anyway, right, let me know what you guys think. And I'll see you in the comment section. Take care.